On this episode of Blackguard TV, we're taking on quite a large project. We're going to be making 10 field knives and 1 display knife for the Bentprop Project. It's going to be fun. If you wouldn't mind explaining for the benefit of my viewership, who you are and the organization that you work with.
Yeah, so my name is Derek Abbey. I'm a member of the Bentprop Project. And so the Bentprop Project has been around for about 2 decades now, a little over 2 decades. And it's a team of volunteers with a variety of expertise and a variety of backgrounds. And our focus is on finding and ultimately returning Americans missing in action from our nation's conflict.
We came up with a basic rough design for an 11-inch bladed Kukri, and you presented it to team members and personnel at Bentprop. So what was the general consensus from y'all's side of things?
Yeah, so once we had our initial back and forth, you know, I kind of farmed it out to the rest of the members. They were all very interested in a group order, and they were all very excited and happy with the design. So I mean, there was very, very little idea beyond actually what we initially came up with. They were excited that, you know, it was going to be a quality blade that had the function that we needed in the environment that we needed, and you know, the design of it was intriguing, and you know, it became personal and something unique and something that they wanted. So yeah, we were able to place a significant order.
And then the last thing that I really wanted to talk about is, we had briefly discussed, I'm making these field versions for all of you guys. We've played with the idea of making a showpiece, a mantelpiece version, you know, something that's a little bit more emotion driven. I know you had gone ahead and decided that we're going to make one of those where it's not going to be the Cerakote, it's not going to be the modern fit and finish that we talked about wanting to make it look like. You know, this was something that came out of one of y'all's sites, that it had been exposed to the elements for decades, and you know, kind of fit the mood of some of these aircraft and some of the equipment that you guys have found at sites.
You know, something with a wooden handle that's going to have the beauty and the roughness to it, and it would look fantastic on a mantle or presented as a special gift of some sort, and in a recognition of anything, you know. And through your explanation, it really actually brings back a memory of a specific site that we found of a Navy aircraft that went down with three aviators on it. And the interesting thing was when you walked into the site, one of the things that we found was a spoon, a teaspoon, and carved into it was USN, so U.S. Navy. And I mean, just now I get chills actually thinking about it. And you know, you're a Marine, I'm a Marine. You know, I think about, I used to put a spoon in my pocket, so whenever I had a chance to eat something, you know, I had that spoon ready, and I could eat when I needed to or when I had the time to. And I think about that spoon all the time, and that really brings back the whole reason for what we're doing is to find these guys and ultimately get them back home. But you know, one of those sailors was either leaving the galley or thinking about the galley post mission, and unfortunately never made it back. And so I think this artistic piece, or this emotional piece as you describe it, is perfect for kind of encompassing the message of what we do.
So for this project, we decided to go with stock removal D2 tool steel. We hand cut out each knife and then pre-drilled all of our holes. And then we hand shaped every knife to where they matched each other. We then took the knives over to our friends over at Hayes Custom Gunworks so that they could machine the sawback teeth on the spines of the knives for us. While we were there, we decided to check out some of their cool toys. So once the knives came back from machining, we coated them, marked our grind lines, and started to profile in the edges. We then laser engrave a template down and then come back in with hand rotary engraver bits and relief out the engraving. Only one of these knives was hand engraved. The remaining 10 will be solely laser engraved. This is the mantelpiece knife, so it's meant to have a bit more of a rugged look to it. After coating the knife in clay, we then heat the knife up and let it soak in temperature for a little while. Once it's about 1500 degrees, we'll bring it out and quench it in oil. The blade flared up again because of little bits of oil that were caught into the clay. We then lightly tap the remaining clay off the surface of the blade. The blade went into its temper cycle and came out to be cleaned up. We then check the hardness of the edge using a file, make sure we have a nice hard edge. The remaining knives, once done laser engraving, were heat treated and quenched. These knives will be sanded back down, cleaned up, and sent off to Cerakote. For the mantelpiece knife, we used walnut and shaped the handle into the blade. This handle's a little refined for a rustic edged knife, so after we clean it up and shape it, we'll go in and add some distress marks to it, and then we'll come in and sharpen the blade up to its final finish. The remaining knives get G10 micarta handles. This material will hold up in all weather situations and is easily replaced, and we texture each one of these handles to match its own other side. For this, we used rotary sanding bits to create the texture on the handles. I like using the knife that I made to make the sheath. This is again the mantelpiece knife. It gets a leather sheath that we are going to age in distress. Then I came in using fine rotary bits to engrave a night scene, beach scene, and then came back in with a sander to create some light spots and reliefs before we continue to age and finish the sheath. Now that the other knives are back from Cerakote and the handles have been matched up, we're going to go in and finish assembling the knives. Comparing the two knives side by side, you can tell the difference immediately. Even though that the steel is the same, one steel is aged in patina, the other one is protected by Cerakote. Thanks for watching this episode of Blackguard TV. If you like what you saw and you want to see more, like and subscribe. Also, you can follow us on Instagram and Facebook. Thank you.